Before you can even process what happened, the shock of the freezing water hits your lungs. The deafening roar of massive steel propellers violently churns the ocean into pitch-black foam just feet away from your head. This chart tracks man-overboard incidents reported between the years 2000 and 2018. Out of 325 people who fell from global shipping and passenger vessels, the data shows an immediate, staggering 83% drop-off. That gap represents the people who vanished into the water, never to be found. Treading water in the dark, you watch the colossal stern of the ship pull away. In seconds, the scale flips. Against the mammoth, glowing architecture of a modern vessel, a human being is a microscopic speck. Survival is an unforgiving calculation. It pits fragile human biology against the massive physics of a moving ship, the vastness of the ocean, and the cold logic of corporate economics. The moment a passenger breaches the rail, they encounter the problem of unstoppable mass. A modern cruise ship possesses such immense forward momentum that it simply cannot stop on a dime. At a standard cruising speed of 24 knots, a vessel travels with relentless velocity. Every single minute that passes, the ship puts another half-mile of open water between itself and the victim. Up on the bridge, a crew alert triggers a strict protocol. The duty officer records the GPS position, drops a smoke float, and sounds the ship's whistle with 3 prolonged blasts, the Morse code for Oscar, the signal for a human in the water. Human urgency is limited by the response time of heavy machinery. It takes roughly 20 seconds for the massive hydraulic steering pumps to physically push the rudder into a turn. Putting the helm hard over is an attempt to swing the stern of the ship away from the victim. The crew is trying to keep the violent suction of the propellers from pulling the person into the blades. Because of this mechanical delay, the ship only begins to alter its course once the victim is already lost deep in the frothy whitecaps of the vessel's wake. Returning to a victim's last known coordinates requires pre-calculated geometric maneuvers. A 100,000-ton behemoth must follow a precise path to overcome its own turning radius. This diagram outlines a Williamson turn. The rudder is pushed hard over until the ship drifts exactly 60 degrees off course. At that angle, the rudder is reversed. The vessel completes a teardrop-shaped arc, lining up to steam straight back down its reciprocal track. Navigating back to the drop point is only the first hurdle. From a bridge 14 stories high, spotting a lone human head among the ocean's foamy whitecaps is nearly impossible. If the initial pass fails, the crew shifts to mathematical search protocols. This animated grid shows an expanding square search, which spirals outward from a central datum point to account for the drift of the current. Once these patterns begin, the vessel functions as a search asset. The crew is now looking for a microscopic target in an endless expanse of water. The maritime industry typically attributes these falls to passenger intoxication and human error. Blame is centered on the behavior of the individual rather than the design of the environment. Technology to prevent these disappearances already exists. Automatic detection systems use thermal imaging and hull-mounted radar to instantly alert the bridge when a mast drops past the ship's rail. Widespread adoption is slowed by financial barriers. Outfitting a ship costs upwards of $250,000, and the sensors frequently trigger false alarms when large seabirds fly too close to the hull. Halting a cruise ship unnecessarily is an operational liability. A full emergency stop burns through enormous quantities of heavy fuel oil and disrupts the rigid, profitable schedules of the port arrival. There is a core economic conflict at play. Cruise lines rely on the high profit margins of onboard alcohol packages, a revenue stream that directly competes with the promotion of strict, responsible behavior. The safety of the passenger and the bottom-line realities of a floating casino are often at odds. In 2016, Samantha Broberg was served 19 drinks over the course of an evening before she fell backward into the Gulf of Mexico. Her absence went completely unnoticed by the crew for hours. The shipping and cruise industries operate in the jurisdictional gaps of international waters. Using foreign flags of convenience allow companies to bypass the strict reporting requirements of maritime law. These massive modern vessels are unregulated floating cities, powered by heavy fuel oil, and shielded by complex financial architecture. A waist-high metal railing is the only physical barrier standing between a passenger and the ocean. If that single barrier fails, the human is swallowed by the ocean, and the massive machinery simply keeps moving.